But first, he started out as a reality TV show contestant, stranded on a desert island, and went on to become one of the youngest members of the Seoige. Mark Daly is here to have his say on what's making the news. But before we meet him, let's see where it all began.
It's bedlam. Both teams think they've won.
You can consider what you like.
But your
Our
interpretation
team, right? I got
Not
here
ours.
first, okay?
All hands were
I got
on
here
this
first,
box.
right?
That is not true.
Excuse me. All our team members had their hands on this box at the same time. Your team members put their hands on at alternative times. At alternative times, lads. And you know you did, because I watched you.
Woo! Mark Daly, you're very welcome. What was going on there? You were stamping your authority in that situation anyway.
Well, actually, we were very hungry and we were arguing over food. So, you know, when it was a case of we either eat or we don't eat, I was going to argue with my fingernails if it came down to it. And I did, but we lost the argument.
Really? Because you were putting forward a great argument there. I believed you.
Well, I believe me as well, but unfortunately we didn't win that particular argument.
What makes a guy go on a show like that? Because I suppose we see sunshine, we see sand. What we don't see is what you're feeling, which, as you said there, is hunger and tiredness.
It was desperate. How you saw it on television, it's a bit like, and now you suppose going through it, you say, well, what you see on television and how people describe what is happening is nothing like being there yourself. So after about 5 days where the TV company starved literally to death, all pretense and acting just stopped, and you just were stripped down to the bare bones, and for 5 weeks they kept starving us. So I lost about 1.5 stone. Wow. Eyesight started to blur a small bit, and sitting down had to be done with the help of a towel, because there was nothing left to sit on. So after 5 weeks and boiling down to the last 4, I got to the last 3, and that was the end of that. I didn't get the 50 grand, but it was an experience, once in a lifetime.
Yes.
And once only.
Okay, all right, you're not one of these reality TV show addicts now.
No.
Okay, glad to hear. You're actually an auctioneer by trade as well.
Yeah, did a bit of auctioneering as well, and did a reality TV program as well. But on the other side,
you were being fed for this one. This was Holiday Home Detectives.
That's right.
We can see you in this one as well, and I have to say you are looking a bit more polished on it. There you are now, Mark. Yeah. But you weren't starving your contestants there either.
No, that was quite a nice one. Yeah.
Where was that? That looked like Italy. That
was in Italy. We went to Lake Como. It was great. Every morning you get up on a Monday morning for 7 weeks in a row, and you go, am I going to Dubrovnik this week, or is it Cannes, or is it Cyprus, or is it Saint-Tropez? So wherever it was great, and you get a 4-star hotel or 5-star, depending if the budget stretched to it. And you got to see all of Europe and see some fantastic houses.
Speaking of nice hotels, what made you get into politics?
Oh, well, I
shouldn't have said that now.
I was always involved in politics. I was involved in Brian Crowley's first European campaign back in 1993, and I was in college, and I heard him speak, and I said, that guy is just brilliant. He's a bit like Obama, and he was a senator at the time, and I went up to Leinster House, and I had heard he was running for the European Parliament, and I said, well, I'd like to help out in your campaign. And he said, that's great. He says, thanks. And who are you? And I said, Mark Daly from Kenmare. So I'm still working on his campaign nearly 14 years later.
You had a campaign yourself as well, and you had an unusual ploy to get votes. Tell us what that was about.
Yeah, well, at Christmas time, before the Senate election, I sent out a copy of The Wind That Shakes the Barley to all the Fianna Fáil councillors and TDs, and it's obviously a very moving movie, but a movie very particular to my own family, because my grandfather, Charlie Daly, and my cousin, Commandant Daly, fought in the War of Independence and the Civil War, which is ostensibly what The Wind That Shakes the Barley is about. And, of course, a lot of the movie was shot in Kerry and in Cork.
Yeah. So it was a heartstrings ploy, and it worked, because you became one of the youngest members ever of the Seoige. How's that for you now?
It's quite a challenge, because there's different issues every day. So, like, whether it's dealing with someone organ donation, or whether you're dealing with you know, someone's potholes down in Kerry, all equally important to the person on the phone. So, you know, every day is never the same as the day before, and you have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring, which is great.
What's coming down the track. Now, you're here to talk about the news stories that have made an impact on you recently. The first one is one that has been dominating the headlines for some time now. It's the unrest in Gaza. We have covered it before in this segment of the show, but there was a ceasefire over the weekend, Mark. Do you think that'll last?
No, unfortunately not, because, you know, ceasefires between the Israelis and Hamas don't last too long. Generally, Hamas use it just to re-equip, rearm, and then start firing rockets back into Israel, and the Israelis, knowing that, are prepared to go back in again. So unfortunately, I suppose this coincides with two events. One was Obama's inauguration